of the roster. Oh, rip. Okay. That the problem now is I'm so sorry. I need the roster thing.
For Elite
Right.
8.
I got it.
Go
I
on.
just got it.
You got it.
It just loaded. Yeah. So for the side of Elite 8, we have Official Hein, iLock, Han Jaeger, and Anime Save Me. And on the side of Artisan, on the side of Team Artisan, we have Deity Stars, Harkons, Roasty Me Toasties, and Delphire. So coming to this match, both teams are they did really well, and just compare for with the previous match. When we have Enix going up against Impunity, although Enix is actually sitting at 0 points, and Impunity is one of the higher ups teams. But then Enix actually put up a really good fight against that of Impunity, and it just went down to drafting wise and how well they drafted against the side of Impunity. Like the previous game we saw, the side of Enix actually drafted against that of Baron with an Idris and an Alpha. So I'm looking forward to see. I'm not putting any of these teams down. Both of these teams are equally strong, and then they do have a chance if just in reference for from the previous match.
Yeah, definitely. Elite 8 slightly disappointed with how they played in the last week's games, but I'm sure they'll be coming back ready to try and win today, because they definitely got slightly outdrafted last week, so they're going to have to think about that. I'm sure they'll go back, think about what went wrong, and
definitely
try and make that better for this week.
Yep, definitely. So just a quick run through of the point standings as of last week, or rather the last played week, which is on a Thursday. It'll be Infamous at 16 points. We have Elite 8 at 10. Impunity and Artisan both share 6 points. Popeyes 4 points. Enix at 1 point, Silver Boom and Chow 7 at 0 points each. So I made a mistake earlier on. Enix actually has 1 point. So going up against Impunity in the previous match, which is sitting at 6 points, they did put up a really good fight. Although we are not streaming and we're not casting for the third match, we will keep the viewers updated once the third match is completed, and then when we have the games and the conclusions of the games and see who came out on top for week 3 of Split 1.
Definitely. And so thinking about this first draft, we saw a lot of Lyra. We saw emphasis on Lyra in the first game. She was first banned. I mean, actually saw a lot of emphasis on Sky. It was picked up really early on and actually banned away. Do you expect to see similar emphasis on Lyra, Sky, and Catherine, or do you think maybe we'll see more Grace and Baron being as high a priority?
Like we saw earlier on, it's just that while talking about all of this, we can actually talk further when it comes to the draft. So draft is ready. So take the honors.
So without further ado, let's go into the draft.
So we are into draft right now, and I was saying earlier on, like your question, in response to your question, I'm not surprised if we actually do see the Baron and Grace, but in the previous match, Baron just did not have a really good showing, although it is played by Impunity, and although Baron is still a really strong hero. But a lot of players are finally figuring out the counter or checks to Baron like that of Alpha and Idris, so I don't think Baron will be banned out. Maybe even Baron will be let through. So like you said, maybe we'll be seeing like this. It's quite a standard at Catherine, followed by Sky ban, especially the side of Elite 8, because Skies have been banned quite a lot for Impunity and Infamous themselves. So I'm not surprised if Elite 8 actually has the first ban and would actually go for the Sky ban.
Yeah, Sky and Catherine are some of those heroes where if you let Catherine through, then you want to pick up the Sky, and if you're going to plan to pick Catherine, you want to make sure Skies are either not available or that you can be guaranteed to pick it up, because it's just such a hard counter. Catherine's going to be bursted down because of the 4 barrage. Catherine can be bursted down in her Storm Guard, and then she becomes much less tanky. But see the Lyra bans, a lot of emphasis on Lyra again. She's probably the strongest healer, much more consistent healer than Grace. And I think Baron may be banned away. Now they're going to go for the Sky, so they do leave the Catherine open, which is with no counters left really, except for possibly a Petal. So that's an interesting ban. I didn't expect to see Sky there. I would have preferred to see maybe a Catherine or Arden banned away.
Definitely. I mean, just banning out like 2 of the roamers out of foes, we actually do see a Vox being picked up, but then My point is that if you actually ban out 2 roamers from the folds, then you force your opponent to actually go for the more meta one. Then they will not kind of review the comp, and you can keep your comp for yourself as well. So we do actually see a first pickup on Vox for the side of Elite 8. I think Vox is a really good pickup, but then of course in response to that, I was about to say that Idris will be picked up on the side of Artisan. Only reason, Idris is one of those heroes in the early game you kind of struggle a little unless you unlock until you unlock a divergent path. So honestly, the Idris pickup on the side of Artisan, I'm starting to quite like the draft, especially with the glaive banned out in the following ban.
It just is a great Vox counter. Vox is only a Sonic seems to get away, and it just can keep up with him really well. I think with Glaive ban, they're going to ban Catherine, so they do not want, with the Sky not available, they don't want to give over Catherine. Smart decision, because they were unlikely to be able to pick it themselves. And with Idris, I think Grace would be a good decision, because Grace gets quite an easy Atlas onto Vox, but they're going to go Arden instead. Arden's just a good captain. You can, with lots of peel for Idris, will really help to supplement the early game of slightly weak early game with a Vanguard to keep him alive. And they can really they've left their competition very open. So Elite 8 could go for whatever they want really, and they're not because they haven't given over what they're going to go. They're going to counter the Vox with Idris, and Arden's just the captain. So Batiste is quite a good pick, counters quite a lot of the meta heroes as well as Idris. Batiste counters Idris really well.
I mean, with the blue side,
but they may just go for the Celeste.
Yeah, but with the blue side being, so I'm not surprised because they are Elite 8 after all, and they are pretty known for their Batiste plays, especially that when Official Hind is on Batiste. So like covering if Official Hind would play this Batiste, then I'm not surprised if Anime Save Me would just go for another like Lance or something. But then again,
they're going to go Rome Batiste. That's good, because if they'd have gone Batiste and a captain, they would have been just countered by Celeste so hard. Just Celeste outpokes Vox, outposts Batiste. Now they're going for the Scarf to try and win that poke war if they do decide to go for Celeste. And if they go for a dive hero, for example Taka or maybe Alpha to get on top of the Scarf, then Batiste counters dive heroes really well, because if he ordains them, they're either stuck in range of your Vox, or they get stunned where they try and dive on top. Because Koshka's quite good at the Scarf as well, but Koshka hard countered by Batiste's Ordained, so you can't really pick that up. I think they could still try a Celeste or a Samuel or try and outpoke this Scarf, but it won't be easy to do. Really good drafting from Elite 8 here. They have the Batiste counter anyone trying to dive, like a Grumpjaw. They tried that. Batiste is so good into Grumpjaw with the Ordained. As soon as Grumpjaw stuffed, Batiste is Ordained, he's in a lot of trouble. I think their best idea is just go for a Celeste, try and just outpoke Scarf, dodge the poke coming out with the Scarf, and win from there, because Idris will be fine against Vox as long as he can block the Ordained.
Yep, definitely. Oh, they are actually opting for the Taka pickup, which I'm not surprised, because just Taka is just generally really good into majors, but they're not forgetting there is a Rome Batiste. There is a, Captain Batiste there that would actually stop any engage or any advancement from your Taka if a flare spots you out. An Odin cast on Taka, even if you do add Zuretsu, because I've seen a lot of Batiste going up against Taka. What they do is actually just cast Ordain on Taka and then move away from Taka. And also the side of Artisan actually has 2 diving heroes, and again, like you said earlier on, Batiste is so good into them. Granted, there is a zoning property from that of Arden's Gauntlet, but even then, if the side of Elite 8 plays well and execute the team comp well, they can actually poke down Idris and that of Taka even before they advance to them.
Yeah, definitely. I think Taka can play extremely well here. Taka does counter Scarf with being able to dive on top of her, and being able to kite in over the Ordained, possibly if there's slightly poor positioning from Elite 8, they allow Taka to kite in out of the Ordained, then he can just be absolutely fine. He can dodge the stun, he can dodge the damage coming out while he does that, and then he can freely X-Rets onto Scarf. But it's going to be tough for Taka to do that, and similarly for Idris, if he sometimes it's hard to tell who's been Ordained if you're all close together. So maybe Idris thinks he's Ordained and tries to block it, but Taka's actually been Ordained, and so he just gets stunned when he tries to X-Retsu. And yeah, it's going to be much easier for Elite 8 to execute their comp, but if they can dive into the back line, if Artisan can dive on top of Box, delete him with Idris, and then focus on the Scarf afterwards, they can turn this game around and win, even though they've got a slightly unfavourable draft.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the only problem I'm seeing coming out from the side of Elite Eight's draft is the lack of dive. A lot of the heroes on the side of Elite Eight, I mean, Baptiste included, they are kind of really just want to poke and then wait for your engagement to come in before they actually start burning you down with a Scarf, Scoop, and Spitfire combo. And even then, if Ordain lands on Arden, then you have a hard time casting that of a Gauntlet. So because Gauntlet moves you in a certain position as well, so it'll be a tough time for the side of Artisan. And like you said, the team comp coming out from the side of Elite Eight is just that much easier to execute. And also, I personally think, although Idris scales well into the late game, if Batiste and that of Scarf can actually peel for Vox, peel for Roasting Toasty, peel for Handjäger on this Vox, then they'll definitely do well for the side of Elite Eight. Anyway, we are jumping into the foes right now. And casting for this game, we have the most wonderful, beautiful, and gorgeous Asurai and Riku. Take it away.
Hola, thanks for that introduction, Luxeria and Minimizer. So, interesting to see enough. We're going to be like two contrasting compositions. You got yourself the no poke, the no engage or no dive poke type of composition, and then you have all engage all day long.
Exactly. I mean, the composition from the side of Elite Eight is very much reliant on poke plus punishing over-aggressive plays, and that's why it's going to be a bit worrisome for the side of Artisan if they go in too deep too much and overcommit to something they're not prepared for. So for the side of Artisan, meanwhile, as long as they keep pushing Elite Eight for their cooldowns where they don't have any form of protection whatsoever, then that is the perfect time for them. Once they bait out the key skills or ultimates, then that's the perfect time for them to actually commit to the fight. And then that's the time where they have no protection whatsoever. So I'm pretty sure Artisan is prepared for that sort of scenario. So again, Kappa, Arjan, Idris, that's really the type of in your face,
Yeah. So it's gonna be again. I'm so excited to see this official Hind on a Batiste once more. This is one of my favorite players. Starting casting this current split, and while we are getting into the fold again, guys, we would like to remind you or to welcome you to our Vainglory 8 Southeast Asia Summer Split 1 Week 3, I believe.
Yes,
this Week 3. Yes.
Yeah, so the Infamous won yesterday's championship. So today we're all shuffling up the brackets and watching kind of.
There's actually going to be Anime Save Me on the Batiste here, so that's going to be interesting to see. I haven't seen him too much on I would say much more squishy type of hero. It's almost always going to be when I hear his name, Arden or a Catherine, but now he's going to be playing with a Batiste. So that's going to be quite curious to see on my perspective.
Yeah, Elite 8 with their composition is just so damage heavy. They can easily burst someone down, especially if someone gets caught on the Ordain. If the stun kicks in, then everything will just follow through from the box, from the Scarf. So considering, especially that if somebody dives in and caught off guard, then it's going to be a little bit, just in your terms, a little bit too much. What do you say again? More than you can chew or something? Your favorite line?
Bite off more than you can chew.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
there you go.
Okay, so look at that. 3 minutes into the game, and we already see the first turret here for Artisan being dropped down to around 1/4 HP, and that was just with a few pokes coming in from the Scarf here of the official Hind. So you can really see that the poke composition also can be a siege composition when you do have that Scarf just spitting out the Spitfires, and then curious to see how Artisan will be dipping into that, because again, there's the safety from the Ordain and the Goop.
Exactly. So this is another weakness that Artisan has in terms of composition. It's them where they have to make 2 or 3 kills or put them in a really low health bar for them to actually try to take down objectives. Meanwhile, even though all three is alive, they can still put down or chip down some structures and objectives for the side of Elite 8. Siege isn't exactly the strength of Artisan, so it's them actually trying to put kill someone on first.
Look at that damage! It's gonna be DT. 80 stars. Actually gonna go aggressive. Yes, it's stars. It's not gonna be stars Z, as I've been reminded by Dennis before, or sorry, by Luxuria before. And he actually did a little bit with the Vanguard from the Arden, hoping to maybe stop this bombardment from E8. But it's not gonna happen just yet. There's too much range onto the Scarf, and look at it, he's gonna die pretty aggressive. And there you go, it's gonna be a hero kill. First blood connecting here from E8. They're still gonna be dived upon here by Arden, but still that turret will go down. Interesting to see. Well, it was again, Diddy Stars the on the Taka going a little bit too over aggressive into, I would say, the brunt of E8.
Yeah, it's hard if you don't actually follow up the aggression. Like, if Taka engages first, or Idris engages first, or whoever engages first, and then he's alone and the rest of the teammates are not in the same page as whoever the aggressor is, it's gonna be easily punishable by the team composition of Elite 8, considering the fact that, you know, it's still pre-level 6. They have the reliable, no, well, not reliable, they have that CC coming from the Ordain once the stun kicks in, whoever actually engages first. That's why they have to be careful in these types of engages, since they do have the upper hand in terms of damage, poke, and the pre-level 6 aggression, if you will.
Yeah, and with that in mind, E8 are just gonna be starting to try to spiral this out of control, where Artisan are still in the backhand. They're waiting for the ultimates to come up, and like you said, once those do come online, they're gonna be seeing, well, literal hell break loose. It's gonna be set up from the Arden. It's gonna be the Shimmer Strike from, I believe, the Idris, and Taka with the Xretsu. So that's a lot of diving into the backline. Even if there is that fearsome shade gonna be coming out from Anime Save Me, or, you know, the defensive, I guess, goop from the Scarf, it still might not be enough, because you're in that favorite term, you know, the kill bowl from Arden's gauntlet.
Exactly.
So they gotta be careful.
So they have to be wary of their position. Not Elite 8 rather should be wary about their position, not, you know, serving themselves to a well-prepared gauntlet from the side of Artisan. But since they're not yet level 6, actually Roasty Toasty already level 6, but no gauntlet just yet. Structure has already been taken down earlier, but so that means Elite 8 has the upper hand in terms of wave. Plus, you know, that's going to be the Vox already having his ultimate ready just in case. And Batiste for the AoE setup for everything else just to follow through. Official Hind, level 7, there you go.
Super aggressive here, and that might be the demise of E8. They're being dove upon by, well, Artisan for days. They spawn out the one that's going to be the kill onto the Vox. Pretty important target for themselves. And, ooh, Daily Stars almost gets away with his own. But still, the chase is on. The damage from E8, although Artisan did get in your face, E8's damage is just right there. Oh, Dragon Split comes out, and will he make it so that his opponent will be a little bit toasty? That's going to be the case, and E8 with an ace.
You saw how Batiste there managed, with Anime Save Me, managed to get all those souls, if you will, onto the battlefield. So that's really a prolonged, sustained team fight, which Batiste can keep going and going, and that means even though Vox was the first one to fall from that fight, they managed to keep up with the situation. And Scarf as well with the Dragon Breath, really painful. Even though, let's just say, they have all the shields coming from the side of Artisan, they have also a quite sustained team fight, but the damage is still there. It equals to more control over the side of the jungle, and let's see how they're gonna execute this well for Artisan, as, you know, they aren't able to pick up from that fight just yet.
Just yet, indeed. And a little bit of outside info for you guys. It is Impunity who won the third round, or third game, against Enix. So congratulations to Impunity. And, you know, again, without too much delay, again, a lot of action already starting in our first game between E8, or rather Elite 8 versus Artisan. It has been E8 being dove upon once by Artisan, but still they weren't able to initially break down their opponents. They're being chipped down quite nicely here by the Scarf, and look at that, they're just going to be diving in onto, I believe that is Anime Save Me. Gauntlet comes down from the Arden, but still it's not going to be enough boxes. It's been microwave from the backlines, gets a double kill, and he's going to be diving in form to Delfire. Delfire, can he get away? The Vox, though, he has to run away from the third shot, and he will be able to get away from that one. Anime Save Me, though, not on the same side. He's trying to micro left and right, and he should be able to get away from this one without too much contention, and an almost ace plus a turret for E8.
Well played by E8. I saw that was a well-timed crucible, so that the stun will not connect once they try to escape the Gauntlet's, circle arena coming from the side of Artisan. After that, they positioned so well, managed to kite, and that means the rest of the members of Artisan weren't able to finish off targets. I saw that the X-Rex was actually activated so that they can immediately cancel out or mitigate the heals coming from the Batiste, and he managed to, escape that. So jungle, now they're just lurking around, managed to get an objective again, another structure as well. So Elite 8 just keep pushing in their advantage so far, and they're working their comps really well.
40 seconds till that Gauntlet comes out from Delfire, so this isn't the power play that, well, Artisan would want, and E8 knows this. They know what's up. Good chakram, though, to come out from the Idris. But still, again, like I said, E8 have a good foothold onto this one. If this was a car, they would just be pushing this into, I believe, Gear 5. There was even a Gear 6 or Gear 7. That could be it. But they found their mark. They're going to go aggressive. They have to back away. This Taka can't be that overly aggressive right there. And he will at least shut down the Trent, get the heal back up. And 5 more seconds till that Gauntlet comes out. So this might be, well, the momentum shifter for Artisan. Although E8 are smartly backing off, as Official Hein is in himself also pretty low on HP.
Yeah, they still have to respect the dangers whenever they reach their overdrives as well, because, that's added strength, added damage. Batiste, though, might get caught out of here. We'll see what can happen.
Well, this is a Batiste that has been building up into some pretty good, I believe, defensive items, so he'll be able to at least absorb some damage for the meantime. That gold mine is looking to be quite a bit of interesting objective to go for, so to speak. E8 have to be very careful, but there is the scout trap that will be spawning out Artisan as they go for the flank. Official Hein, look at the damage, the goo plus the Spitfire. They are literally walking on flames through the fire. I don't know how that song goes, but yeah, they're just gonna go aggressive and boom, shakalaka, they get themselves Delfire, not even able to use his Gauntlet. And Artisan, they gotta escape from this one. They can't steal the gold miner for the meantime, and they'll be chasing down onto the Taka. Or rather, onto, I believe that was Idris. He uses the Shimmer Strike just for the invisibility or the safety of it. But look at the damage coming in from this Tripwire. It's gonna be, well, a little bit of the micro maneuvers from the Taka, but still, that's going to be a delayed ace going in favor of the Elite 8.
Man, you saw the hesitation coming from the side of Artisan. It's like they saw the Batiste very, very low. So Taka on the sidelines activated his stealth and wait for the perfect moment. And he saw Batiste was quite in for a couple of seconds alone, away from the Scarf, away from the Vox. So they got separated, the Idris and the Taka. And that's why he hesitated a little bit. They managed to secure the kill, but in sacrifice of 2 kills for the side of Elite 8, plus a couple of damage towards their turret as well.
True enough. And Artisan here, you can really see that they're trying to clear out. Well, against they're trying to clear the extra comment, and then it's going to be Delfire to clear out at least the scout traps. But the other mindset that might be in their heads is to maybe catch up E8 one after the other. But E8, they're on that spot where they're so on point with their communication that Anime Save Me is not far behind from his spawn. So if the Scarf is exposed, he's going to be in range for a pretty good fearsome shade lineup. And here E8, they know they have the hold of this game, and they're going to be pushing into the lane by themselves. And Artisan, all they can do right now is just to back away, but the chase is on. They get the center connection onto the stun. It's going to be the Vox onto the back line, going in for the other attacks, and he will shoot it down with the Sonic Zoom. And look at that, the damage onto Roasty Toasty, keeping him a little bit, well, not really toasty, but cold, shivering from that ice-cold blasts from this Vox.
Exactly, Asarai. And look at Goldie. It's just so huge right now on the side of the Elite 8. I mean, in terms of damage, they already have the upper hand, so itemization is just gonna shoot out more of the advantage and the gap as well.
Up from the back line, they're gonna go up for me, baby. And Elite 8 will get trapped into the mess that is Artisan. They're trying to go in, but the damage, there's gonna be a fearsome shade. And here is a defensive Dragonfire to boot, and that was just pure, utter disaster, massacred by Elite 8. Their AoE, their poke was just too much.
Damage is insane. I mean, Artisan cannot do anything, cannot finish targets anymore, even though they go all in. There's no escape for them whatsoever if they decide to just go and attack full-on
Hail Mary
headshot.
Grace defense from Artisan. They'll try to do their best, but the vein once again has been popped, and well, game 1 will be taken by Elite 8.
Man, that was just Elite 8 playing so well their draft. I mean, they basically knew that they have the upper hand in the early phases of the game, and they took advantage of that and not giving Artisan any room to recover or breathe at all until the goal lead was just too immense for Artisan to come back from that.
Yeah, and look at that. Looky here. Official Hein 4-0-8. His scarf has been untouched, but to touch more, we'll be giving it to Luxuria and Minimizer. So guys, you know what to do.
Thank you for that. What a game from Elite 8. They've drafted superbly, got the poke comp, and just there wasn't much that Artisan could do. They got a couple of kills when they dived in successfully, but in general, Official Hein could just poke far too much on Scarf, and it just didn't get the items he needed to counter Hundjaegers, really. And once he picked up his 3 damage items, it was already kind of too late. Scarf had a snowball taco, and they played extremely well, Elite 8.
Yep, definitely. I mean, the side of Artisan, their team comp, it's kind of counted by that Baptiste alone. We saw the amount of crucial Ordain that was casted on Taka or even Arden. Basically, Ordain, when used on any of the 3 heroes, just stopped them from, going in and engaging and advancing really, really hard, which they need to do. But, burning a reflex block just because of an Ordain, I don't think, they really want to do that. And one more thing that I realized about Anime Save Me when playing this Baptiste is that whenever he casts his Ordain, he makes sure that Taka is nowhere near them, or rather they are nowhere near Taka, so Taka cannot chitin over the Ordain. So, it's really clever play coming out from the side of E8. I mean, granted, Elite 8 drafted really well going into a double dive. I mean, in fact, it's a triple dive comp because with Arden supplementing their dives. Yeah. So really good drive coming out from Elite 8. And it's probably one thing as well. They played their comp to almost perfection. They put up a lot of early game pressure onto the turret. Like we said, just when Asurai and Rico jumped onto and into the fold, the turret was already taken down to a quarter health. And, it's just really good pressure coming out from the side of Elite 8. And although they are putting that much pressure, they are not forgetting that they have to farm up as well. And I think this is why Elite 8 is the crown champion in VGC, because they know how to work their comp well. That's first of it all. And secondly, of course, they know how to counter comms, and they know how to play to their strengths, and of course recover on their weaknesses, because honestly all of their weaknesses is really Taka in early game, or rather after Taka get his aftershock, and then when Taka starts roaming around, that is one of the power spikes from Taka. But Elite 8 did not allow that to happen. Anime saved me on this. Baptiste was just played it to perfection, having like 100% participation in all the fights. So good game, well played to the side of Elite 8, and of course to Artisan. Anyway, draft is ready, so you do the honors.
So, without further ado, we're going to go into the draft.
Well, going into this second draft for this match, what do you think? I personally think that, Baptiste is such a strong hero at this point in time. I mean, it's not broken like that of Baron in previous patch, but then he is strong enough. So we are actually going to see a Sky banned out as first ban. I was about to ask whether or not you'll see a Baptiste being banned out, but then again, Baptiste is such a niche hero after all.
It would make sense to ban it. They're going to go for the lower instead. The reason why Batista is so strong is because, as we saw, he can be flexed either jungle, crystal, or he can go as a captain. And as a captain, he gets his ordained on a 12-second cooldown. So you basically force a reflex block really early on the enemy dive hero, or the most mobile hero that you're just going to keep ordaining. And then you can just wait 12 seconds and use another one, and their block isn't going to be up in time. So he has such hard CC in a meta where CC is very important at the moment. That's why he's a good flex pick, but again, he can be countered if they just go for a poke comp. If you go for like a Vox Scarf against the Batiste, he won't be able to do anything. He won't be able to get an ordained on Scarf and shouldn't get one on Vox. Vox pick Baron ban. When you're picking up Vox, you're basically leaving yourself open to be countered by Baron, because Vox with such a short range will not be able to beat Baron anywhere near as well as someone like an Idris would. And Glaive again, this is the same bans from Artisan. They banned Sky, first ban, they ban away Glaive again. They don't want to give away that flex, jungle, crystal, or captain option. I think they're probably going to pick up something like an Arden here, just don't want to give away their composition. They just want to pick a captain that they're quite comfortable playing and that's in.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not surprised if they actually go for the Arden pickup rather than the Batiste as the support or the roamer for this game, because honestly, Batiste has got so much users in the previous game itself, and had Batiste being played as a crystal carry, we are actually going to see a Celeste being picked up. So
that's risky. That's really risky to pick the Celeste first. And your second pick on Team B, you just, for example, they could go Idris Taka, double dive comp, and in the last game we saw the double dive comp didn't work that well because of the Batiste. But I think this against this Celeste, you could just do so well against it. Maybe it might make sense to go for someone like a Kestrel to counter the Vox, and then go for someone like Taka to counter the Celeste. Because you don't want to go double dive and then the Elite 8 just go for exactly the same composition, except they go for Celeste instead of Scarf and leave yourself open. Like, if you lost as a triple melee into a Mage and a Vox and a Batiste, don't let yourself get countered again. So they could either pick the Batiste here, but it wouldn't be great into Celeste. They're going to go Black Feather. Again, if they pick a dive hero to counter the Celeste, they could be in trouble if Batiste is picked up.
Yep, definitely. And I'm not surprised after seeing the Black Feather, Batiste would be the answer for the side of Elite 8. I mean, Batiste provided so much support in that game itself. It was incredible. I mean, the amount of utility that Batiste as a roamer brought to the team itself. I mean, the Fearsome Shade itself just deter any form of engage coming onto their carry. So, with the Black Feather, it's either you burn your Rose Offensive trying to get off the Ordain, or you have to reflex block out of it. But anyways, we actually do see a Scarf to complete the draft coming out from the side of Artisan. It is not a bad draft coming out from the side of Artisan, but I think with a Celeste, I don't think Sky is a rather intelligent pickup. We do see a Finn coming out from the side of Elite 8 to complete the comp. I think Finn is a really good pickup, but then again, Force Accord is an easily blocked out skill. What do you think?
No, I think we're going to see a No Wave Gauntlet and Echo on Finn. So we're going to force a reflex block on Catherine and a Crucible, and then he's going to have an Echo. So either the Black Feather or Scarf picks up blocks of their own and wastes it all to try and block the Finn pull, or they're going to be pulled in onto a Quibble, onto a Core Collapse, and then they're going to die. Because if Celeste just lays a Heliogenesis down in front of Finn pulls them in, Celeste pops the Helio, Finn lands the Quibble, Celeste get another stun, land another Helio, maybe even land a Solar Storm, and whoever you've pulled is going to die, unless it's Black Feather who has a Rose Offensive charge. Even Scarf is just going to fall if you can land that pull. So I highly think we'll see a Fountain Crucible on Finn, and then just as much as he can to land that pull.
Yep, definitely.
It's great comp draft from Elite 8. But if Scarf can outpoke Celeste, then Scarf can still win this poke war and win the game from there.
I must say, though, this is the first time for me, at least, seeing Elite 8 bring out this Finn pick. It's not seen very often, Finn, as a pickup, as a hero, at least, because he works, or rather, he synergizes really well with very few heroes. So, honestly, as a Finn, we actually saw one game where Finn actually built Echo and actually paid off. And then there was another game where Finn built Echo and did not quite take off as well as that Finn that actually built Echo. So, honestly, the early game CC coming out from that side of Artisan will be insane, especially when Vox is in lane, the pestering and the harassing coming out from Catherine with Merciless Pursuit, just helping her build her stack to be insane. And of course, Black Feather. Vox can never outpoke Black Feather in lane because on point grants you like extra health anyways, health barrier, and then you have a Scarf in jungle, and of course you're going up against like Celeste that will be placed in jungle as well. I personally think the Celeste will do better into Sky in the earlier game, but just at the end game when Goop is overdrived or maybe Spitfire is overdrived, then it's going to start to become really difficult and it's down to execution. But anyways, we are down and right into the fold at this point in time. So let's just invite in our awesome, most gorgeous caster, Surai and Riku. Take it away.
Thank you. How here you go? Let's have a rundown of this. We have Harkons, Roasty Toasty, and Hellfire for Artisan.
Yes, meanwhile for Elite 8, we've got Han Jaeger's Official Hein and Anime Save Me.
True that, and just on my side, I would, in terms of the compositions, I kind of like how Elite 8's comp actually panned out, even though the Finn, like they said, can get countered heavily by, being able to block his Force Accord. There is that always lethality that you would always think that if he builds up into an Echo, can you really be able to block for the second time or dodge the second time, Force Accord?
That is true. Plus, the damage threat coming from the side, the poke threat coming from the side of, Celeste most especially, plus the Vox, is very threatening to Catherine and Black Feather as well. So it might give them a little bit of hesitation to actually go in once they get chipped out. So it's just what Minimizer said earlier, like who wins the Cold War, whether it's Celeste or Scarf. It will determine on how they go about the situation. If either team will either go home and recover more HP to prepare for the next fight, or that's the time it will determine for them to actually disengage.
Yeah,
so,
there was actually a first blood happening, and it was, I believe, Harkons got the last hit onto the Celeste, which was Official Hein. There's going to be a dive here on, well, our Vox, but Anime Save Me, smashing it down. I believe that was the Polite Company, and I really don't understand why they call it, call it Polite Company, even though he's going to be quite a bit of a jerk, slashing it down.
quite rude.
Quite rude. It's going to be called like Rude Company, a rude guy.
Yeah, for pulling you in without wanting to. And anyway, they're still level 2, so their level 2 spikes is, what do you call this? A bit more likely in favor of Artisan, perhaps, especially with the Scarf as well, since that's going to give them more room for kiting capabilities, for more damage capabilities, in contrast with the Celeste, with a complete kit of the Core Collapse and Heliogenesis. It is more used, especially if they're going to try to go all in.
Oh, that's good damage coming in from Han Jaeger's. Anime Saves Me, though, gets a little bit toasty there. He might become, well, just fried fish if he stayed too long onto the Spitfire goop, but still, E8 just has started. First blood again connecting onto the Celeste, although she will be in the jungle. Level 4 already here, so 2 more, and we'll be starting to see the Solar Storm. As for Anime Saves Me, is 3 away from his Force Accord, and without a block, actually no, I think the Catherine does have a block already. Delphire, yeah, he's gonna be ready for at least when Anime Save Me does come in for that one. Han Jaeger's good connections onto the auto attacks here, onto Roasty Toasty. And Artisan once again going with for a 3-man stack in the lane. Connection with the Merciless Pursuit onto Anime Save Me, but still Artisan just have a pretty good control of this early game.
Yeah, they just have to be. Elite 8 is the type of team that's very patient, but hold that thought, like a Catherine doing a lot of damage combined with Scar.
Is on. Yeah, just an auto attack. I thought it was going to be a Spitfire. And Han Jaeger's again has to back away and gonna go recall back to the base. Scarf is a really strong pick right now in this setup. They can just keep, when they go for that push into the lane, just keep sieging it up and get actually free to no punish type of damage onto the turrets.
That is true. Plus, it interrupted the jungling of Celeste here, the roam of Celeste here. Since they lost the Vox, they were forced to bring down Celeste back to the lane and clear out the wave. So, that's a good disruption coming from the side of Artisan. But then again, we've seen this time and time again from Elite 8, where they're the type of team that it's okay to give a few kills to the enemy team during the early phase of the game because they know the weaknesses of their draft. So it doesn't really phase them out too much. It's more of them waiting patiently to strike when it's needed, especially when they reach their level 6. That's when they can try to set up.
Anime save me. Look at the damage onto Harkons. They're going to be dope upon here by Roasty Mitosi. He does have the damage with the Black Feather, and look at that chase all day long. They pierce him out. That's going to be official Hein once again caught off guard, and this Celeste is going to have such a hard time rising up, dash on the streets, or rising up to the stars where she belongs. And Artisan rotating into the jungle, stealing camps for days.
Exactly. Elite 8, again, the Celeste was the one that fell onto from that fight, and it's Artisan knowing the weakness of the composition being drafted there. So they're not gonna handle the Vox. Vox has a little bit of mobility, if you will, but for the side of Celeste, once you just keep ganging up on her, she's just gonna get overwhelmed. I mean, Core Collapse isn't exactly the most reliable protection that she can dish out just so that she can have a little bit more safety. But
And a fight breaks loose into the lane. Harkon's got to back away. There was a huge connection there onto the Solar Storm, but E8 cannot capitalize a kill just yet. Still, Anime saved me. Not being that pick-off frontline that they really wanted to have, and E8 cannot overcommit under this turret just that. Maybe they can go for the picks here rather for the chip damage, but Han Jaeger says otherwise. Goes in with a little bit of auto attack, but Harkon's back into the fight, makes it into a team 3v3, and it pushes back Elite 8.
it looks like somebody is gonna go home and buy a couple of items and prepare for the next fight, especially that they're close to level 6. They're gonna take advantage of this, knowing that it's still 2 members at the turret, and they're gonna chip them down. Anime Save Me super low at the moment.
He does have a Fountain of Renewal, so he will be able to activate that and get a little bit of HP back if he does go into that danger zone of health. But still, you gotta admit, this game or this series has been showing when you got the poke. I don't know.
I thought you were gonna do they gotta be at the choke or something. Okay, anyway, Mortal War.
Oh, the damage there though, coming in from the Vox. And Roasty Me Toasty cut back away just by a smidgen here as Hunt Jaegers dips in a little bit with the Sonic Zoom, goes in with some free poke, and here comes Official Hein. He does have the Solar Storm, can actually use it, but will save his hand just for a little bit. They're gonna be trying to take down this turret. Look at the damage from that Heliogenesis just popping it in. Let's go to the Dragon's Breath. The damage, the Polar Company command from Enemy Safety just to stave off Artisan for the meantime, and defensive Solar Storm just in case. And Artisan gotta be reminded, man, that level 7 Celeste, not yet with the overdrive onto the Heliogenesis. Let's drop it down, and they are gonna go aggressive into this one once again. Han Jaegers here into the sidelines, and Official Hein trying to stack it up, but this turret is very, very low.
Take note that the Catherine still not level 6. No ults just yet coming from the side. The Blast Tremor for the disabling or the really powerful CC silence from the side of Artisan. So that's not into the equation just yet, but can you imagine if that is there? So meanwhile, the first support from the side of Elite 8 still not visible just yet, but in terms of like the AoE disruption that Artisan can bring to the table, if executed well, it's going to be really scary for the side of Elite 8, especially that they're not really getting the that they wanted so far, as Celeste keeps getting picked off from these team fights or mini skirmishes.
Yeah, but you still gotta give credit to Elite 8, even though they did get picked off in terms of the Celeste for 2 straight rounds now. They have been poking their hearts out and gouging out the eyes of Artisan there. Another Solar Storm from the Celeste, and the damage is a little bit too real. Gets another turret, and Anime Save Me does use a Force to Court, but here comes Harkon from the sideline. He's setting it up, but this Fox is gonna get a whole heap of Dragon's Breath. Ay, that smells not too good in my face. They're gonna try to run away, and Anime Save Me gets back with his life. I believe he does have that life spring in his arsenal, and they're gonna be chasing down onto the Vox. Don't be a bit too greedy there, but still, on Jaegers as well as Official Hein getting the damage in and still surviving with the The very cheeky from even though from that very cheeky setup from Harkons.
Yeah, exactly. Like company actually denying more of the aggression from the side of Artisan there. So he hesitated a bit, decided to not go for the kills, but for the objectives instead. So that was the threat of Artisan whenever they make these kinds of setups. So I'm pretty sure Elite 8 will be a little bit hesitant whenever they try to go for the aggression, especially that Finn doesn't have that much of a protection, doesn't have that mobility needed so that he can actually go away from the fight. He has to be, you know, walking slowly, activate the polite company, slam that the ground just to slow them away. But any sort of hard CCR for him to dash away from danger, that's not going to be available for him.
Yeah, so it's just one in, all in, but you know what? Elite 8 can capitalize. They do have on Jaegers. Goes through the force accord, will not connect just yet. But still, you can see the Elite 8 are getting a pretty good control of this game. I mean, they don't have the goal lead just yet, but you can really see that in terms of momentum, or in terms of how they've been toying around with Artisan, for the meantime, they're doing just fine.
Yeah, Elite 8 is the type to be very patient about their calls. Meanwhile, Artisan most likely has learned from the first match that they've encountered against Elite 8, so they're playing this at a different scale this time around. So they drafted really well. It's more, I remember what Minimizer said about winning the Poke War, but then again, it's more, in this phase of the game, it's most likely not, what do you call this, the Poke War that much anymore, but it's more like landing the necessary skills for the side of Elite 8.
Save, he's looking for it, he wants it. Watch out, watch out. One more second, that force accord is up, ripe for the taking, ripe for the usage rather, and he is just he's just hulking it in front of the bases of Artisan for the meantime, but he is very low right now. The poke from Artisan, they still have to expect that, well, the scar from the sidelines is just dealing good amount of damage, and he is going in aggressive. And they gotta back away. Elite 8 know what's up, and they will respect the damage output of Artisan.
They don't exactly have the hard engage that they're looking for to cancel out the poke, you know, stop the poke from the side of Artisan. So that's why it's really very reliant on the force accord of Anime Save Me. And oh, there it is. He actually hooks the miner in with them.
And there you go. Actually, last hit from the miner will be taken by Official Hein, but look at this. Official Hein still on the back line. Just going in aggressive, puts down the hurt with a Heliogenesis, and this should be a fight for Elite 8. Delphire knows what's up. He sees two members gone down, and he says, again, Mamba out. He doesn't want to go for the fight, and really nice setup there and steal from Elite 8.
That was the perfect situation for Elite 8, knowing the fact that most of the members from Artisan are pretty low. So they took advantage of the chaos of them choosing between two objectives. Are we going for the fight, or are we just going to save the miner for us for more advantage in terms of gold? So that was really well set. A good vision from the side of Elite 8 as well. Very quick on their toes. We've seen this time and time again from Elite 8 where they really take advantage of situations. They're fast thinking and decision making that makes them really what do you call this, really impressive when they encounter these sort of situations.
No echo just yet from the Finn. And there is, I believe, a Crucible and a Reflex block onto Delphire, but still, I believe, a Force Accord was able to connect. Although, here comes a flanking maneuver from Artisan. They want to go in. Merciless Pursuit is up and ready for Delphire. He is just waiting for it. Blast Jammer could also be a good setup here just for the silence. He hooks it in two people. Look at the damage. Oh, my goodness. Genesis core collapse, and the star just rains down upon Artisan. That was huge coming in from the E8 team, the red team, and they will be spilling all of their red inside. We're taking it in, or rather breaking down turrets with this red. But still, that was such a great setup from Anime Save Me. His forced accord even through the reflex block was enough.
Amazing play from Elite 8. That was just the perfect setup for the Heliogenesis Supernova plus the Solar Storm. That burst damage was enough for Artisan to not survive everything and not allow them to do a counter attack whatsoever. They got 2 kills out of that. They got more objectives out of that, and now Elite 8 slowly creeping in their lead, and Artisan has to think twice when they try to make these poke at choke, if you will, your favorite term, one of your favorite terms after I. So Artisan, they have to think of a different strategy on how they're able to make Elite 8 hesitate for these frontline plays, especially they have to avoid that accord coming from the Finn.
But the thing is, that was just too fast of a setup there. I mean, you get yourself the force accord, you get yourself that core collapse into the stun, and then it's just the Vox's AoE damage plus maybe the Solar Storm and as well as the Heliogenesis, but that's going to be at least another gold miner here for E8. They're going to be going aggressive right now. There is a lot of ultimates for E8 to actually use. Still no Solar Storm just yet. They can pop it down, but there is a huge blast tremor from this Catherine. Catherine is still alive as well and chasing down onto Official Hind. They get 2 kills already. That's going to be the Vox as well the Catherine, or rather the Celeste. And Anime Save Me will be able to escape, although that was a quick pickoff from Artisan. And well, there you go. They're going to be able to take down this Kraken, and it will be unleashed.
Wow, I'm not sure. I think Elite 8 was definitely not prepared for that fight. Like, Artisan took advantage. It's just like deja vu, where Artisan was the one at the jungle and they were caught off guard. So they pretty much did the same thing for the side of Elite 8. So this is a pretty much back and forth fight with the gold lead very in favor of Elite 8, but still Artisan still getting that advantage, getting those 2 kills rather, plus the Kraken.
Yeah.
Now they're going to be knocking on the base of Elite 8. Let's see how they're going to defend from this one.
And Rose to me Toasty, he is on that Black Feather. We cannot forget that in just yet. He can just poke in for days, or rather poke in as many times as he want, and then leave his team to just go for the front line, go for the backline harassment as well. And while this Kraken is doing the business in the turrets, Artisan will be doing business with E8, and they are taking the fight to them. There's a nice force accord onto Roasty Toasty, but, well, he does have the ability to be able to escape just yet, or for now rather, and they'll be trying to break down this turret, although this Kraken will go down. And, well, Elite 8 at least stop the bleeding for the meantime.
Yeah, for me the problem of Elite 8's composition is that they don't exactly have the correct, or no, not really. They don't exactly have the necessary peel whenever, Black Feather and Catherine goes in to Celeste's or Vox's faces when they do these aggressive plays. So they're going to be, if ever they're not the first one to engage and land the perfect force accord like what happened earlier, then it's gonna really spell trouble if Black Feather, Delfire and Rosie Mitosi is just bothering the back line and not letting Celeste and Vox do their thing. So they're forced to reposition instead of doing the DPSing, if you will. So again, that is another choice of Artisan. Aside from the poke coming from the Scarf, it's also for them to start the fight, especially that they have a reliable single target CC stun from Catherine, or they can do the AoE route with their Blast Tremor.
Well, there is the completion of the Serpent's Mask and breaking point for Roasty Toasty. So he got himself quite a bit of good damage as well as sustain. So even though he does go a little bit too heavy into the fight, a couple more art attacks will keep him alive. And E8, they still have that poke damage, but they gotta be careful that there is that one dive hero that can make or break it for Artisan. Although also you gotta give it to Delfire. His Blast Tremor on that last fight really, I feel like, crippled somewhat. They were able to capitalize after they got that gold miner. But now they're gonna at least look for some shenanigans in the jungle. The mighty jungle. The Elite 8 awaits.
Yes, sirree. So the thing that I like about Artisan is that the first game was pretty much a very hold the thought.
Hold the thought, indeed. Polite company. There's gonna be not yet the usage of the Force Accord, so no Fin Hook just yet. He wanted to. You can really see that Enemy Save Me is gonna be holding himself off for the meantime, as he will pull in Roasted Mitosi. That's the target that they want. He'll be able to get away from that one. Does he have an Echo? Yes, he will. I think he activated it already, so he will have another one to use. And Elite 8, they gotta be careful again on this one. But man, Artisan has been starting to rack up in terms of how they've been positioned.
Oh,
yeah, but all that thought, hold the line rather as Artisan's gonna back away. Official Hind is right here, but there's a huge Dragon Fire. Although a Solar Storm came out beforehand, and the damage is just gonna be too much. Official Hind is still in the back line, does have the Heliogenesis. They got themselves I believe the Black Feather already. That's gonna be Roast to be Toasty. So they gotta back away from this for the meantime. Delphi is right here. Harkon's still alive just yet, but they are low in HP, and this Kraken is up. They can actually try to contest this one because you know, guys, that if you get that last hit, you will be able to steal rather this Kraken and less tremor, even with, or rather through that silence. While Delphi will not be able to set up for Harkon's Ace and the Kraken and Elite 8 are, well, they just found the formula, and they have found, or they have unleashed Frankenstein's monster. That's gonna be the Kraken. Roar! He's gonna be pushing into the lane.
Great bait made. I really love the mindset of Elite 8. Wow. So basically, they pressured Artisan to actually play around at a disadvantage. It was already a 2v3, plus their HP is very low at that point. They wanted to take a consolation prize of some sort. Maybe they'll get another kill out of that, since other members from Elite 8 are pretty low as well. They wanted to use the Kraken as a distraction, so it didn't work out very well. Elite 8 basically knew how to play around the objective. They used that for their advantage, and then again, they're not gonna
another force to core into the core collapse. Beautiful coming in from Elite 8, and that should be game. This should be 2-0. He's already lost 2 teammates, and Delphi cannot handle this box. There, I believe, is a bone saw in this box, so he'll be able to chip down onto the armor, but without even just that, the Kraken, this is going to be like a 4v1 situation for him. Vandal and the Vayne is once again exposed. And that's going to be Elite 8 taking this best of 3 series 2-0.
Wow, Elite 8 is just very patient with their composition. They do this all the time. They give away a few kills. It's okay. That's how our composition works. It doesn't phase them as well. Meanwhile, for Artisan, I wasn't able to finish my sentence earlier, but Artisan, despite the game 1 being a bit of a steamroll, Artisan just kept their kept their patient composure. Yeah. Thank you very much. Composure. It was still them, very patient with their comp. They're still very calm with their calls. It's just that, Elite 8 just executed it so well.